Hi everyone, this is Wayne Miller with Full Circle Woodworking. Sirocco Dustless sent me another saw to evaluate. This is a little bit bigger saw than we did a month or so ago. We did the 8.5-inch saw. This is the 10-inch saw. So we're going to take it out of the box. As you can see, it's still sealed. We're going to take it out of the box and evaluate this 10-inch saw. So I'm going to open the box. All right, let's see what's in the box. Many similarities to what we found in the 8.5-inch saw, the dust shroud and the blade guard, miter fence, riving knife, push stick, some sort of adjustment knob, not sure where that goes just yet. Okay, so this is the saw out of the box. The switch is tied down. As is the rip fence. Actually, it's not tied to anything. And the collection bag is already attached. I have an adjustment lever over here that was being held fast. So while it's here, I guess we can have a look at the underside. This is the undercarriage. Here it looks like a little port right here to clean out debris. If a chunk of wood falls down in there where your blade is, you can remove one screw and clear that out. So anyhow, there's this cover here, and you can remove this plastic cover by removing this one screw if you have a chunk of wood or some debris that's down here near your blade. Nice feature. Of course, remember to put it back on before you operate the saw. Holder for the wrenches. The dust port seems pretty straightforward. This has locking nibs, just hooks onto there and goes through this hose and out the bag. This will go up to the fence. So let me set this upright now and try to sort out the rest of these attachments. So this is the saw, or the hose for the blade shroud. Okay, so I've taken the throat plate off because I want to put the riving knife in, and it slides right down in here, and there is a cam actuated lever, and it's locked in place. That's it. Well, let's try to put the rest of this on. Let's see what happens when we lower it. like everything is working okay. All right, we will call that good. So to remove this, you push this lever forward and it comes right off the back. So that's pretty convenient. Now I have another hose that needs to go on here. This goes up here. This is our fence. And it looks like it goes this way. This part of the fence here looks like you can remove these two screws and flip it up out of your way if you don't need it. Everything is pretty standard. You've got your off and on switch here. This is a nice big emergency paddle to hit to cut it off. This is your blade crank. This locks it. You can set your bevel. You can unlock your fence and slide it. This is pretty handy if you're doing a lot of rips that maybe aren't the same width. This is a pretty innovative feature right here. We'll have to see just how true it tracks and how square it cuts, but it's nice to not have to move your fence when you can just slide the entire mechanism out. That's pretty clever. Just like their smaller saw, every tool has a storage place on this machine, so it's very self-contained. The push stick is here. The miter fence is around the corner. There's even a couple of hooks to wrap the power cord on. There's padding on each side of the tabletop so that if you lift it to move it, you're not grabbing die-cast aluminum. And there's a handle on the tubular steel. The frame is made out of this tubular steel, which feels pretty strong, actually. Quite interesting. And there is an adjustment down here. There's a nice little storage space for your push stick on your fence. That's a very handy feature. Real robust. This is plastic and aluminum. It'll run pretty smooth, and I'm betting there's a place to store it. And there is, right down here. And now we have this knob. There's a center bolt and a tool for it. Okay. Let me turn this around. So you can see what I'm doing. So this knob fits on here, a nice nut washer and lock washer. It's going to go in here. This knob will allow you to extend the table. So I think this is the lock for the table. I believe that's unlocked. So you can extend these arms. You can set your fence in between these studs right here. And rather than having table leaves that slide out on rods, the innovation here is to slide the fence out as opposed to moving the table. Gauge is set in the tape, but there is some adjustment in this setting so you can zero it out. So that's what that does, and when you have it where you want it, you lock it down, you can lock your fence, and everything's right where you need it. Okay, so the saw is fully assembled. You get one tool, and with that, you can put this saw together. Well, like I say, everything has a nice storage place. Your push stick mounts right here alongside the fence where you're going to use it. Your locking lever for your fence is right here. This is a nice handle on this tubular steel. It feels really robust in there. And the padding on the edges, there's similar padding on the far side if you have to lift this up to move it. Underneath are your blade wrenches. And there's this door, this plastic door here that's clear so you can see through it. If you have a chunk of wood that falls down in alongside your blade, you can remove this screw, clear that, and then go back to sawing. But I would always have that on when you're sawing. I wouldn't leave that off. And everything has a place. The cords have a holder on the far side. So it's a very innovative design. And the material, I mean, it's machined well. I mean, it's a die-cast aluminum plate. It's not cast iron, so it's light. And then there's a die-cast frame in there that's holding the motor and the blade. So I think what we'll do next is make some test cuts and see how we'll observe the volume of the saw, first of all, how much dust it actually collects. These saws are claimed to collect 98.5% of the dust. The smaller saw certainly did that, I think. We'll see if this one is comparable. We'll check the noise level and the accuracy of the fence when we're ripping, and if the saw bogs down at all, cutting some soft pine. So let me get the saw turned around and plugged in, and we'll make a couple test cuts. And what I'm going to do first is turn the saw on. I want to hear it, and I want to make sure that there's nothing loose that might come off. So I'm just going to turn it on, turn it off, then we'll rip some lumber. Okay. Well, as I expected, it's fairly loud, but it is an open frame saw, so it has no cabinet around it, so you're going to get that noise. So we're going to, I've got just some white pine, 3/4 of an inch thick, about 12, maybe 13 inches long, 14. We're going to make a couple of rip cuts and see how much power this has and how much dust it will collect. So very convenient. Your push stick's right here. Can be there ready, waiting for you. I'll set it right there. And here we go. Okay, so we're going to run our first test cut on this piece of 2x4. And let's see how she does. Here we go. Okay, we made one cut, our first cut. The saw didn't miss a beat. I mean, couldn't tell it didn't slow down, stall at all. Granted, this is 3/4 inch pine, but even that, it didn't hesitate at all. I'm going to adjust this out just a little further. I'm going to make another cut. What I want to do is check for square. In terms of dust collection, there's nothing here. I mean, there's a couple of little pieces, but everything is in this bag. So yes, this does pull up the dust. So let me make another cut and then we'll see if that's square. Now this was just a hair off square, but I can see that my gauge here is not perfectly on 0. Now that looks better. So I'm going to make another cut and then I'm going to see how square this is. So I wanted to get this small fence out of my way to try that, and I thought it was screwed in on both ends, but it's not. Those are actually just tension clips. So it's very easy just to pop those loose, lock it in back here, and now your fence is clear all the way up to here. And you can adjust that in close to your blade. So very well thought out feature there, in my opinion. This is um, extruded aluminum, so I'm thinking it's probably very straight, very true. So we are going to make a small cut in this piece, and we're going to check it to see if I've gotten the blade square. And getting your blade square is really a matter of, it's the operator's issue most of the time. You have to fiddle with it a little bit. You have to set your sight gauge to 0 so you can get back there, or if there's a stop, you can set that. So we're going to make one more test cut on this and then check and see how square it cuts. Again, man, there's just literally no dust, man, none. Okay, so after making those 2 adjustments, I put my square on here. As you can see, that is dead square. That's certainly square enough for any furniture you might make. I don't see any light coming through there. So that does cut square. So I could adjust that now so that my mark lines up on 0 and this saw would be set. So again, literally no dust. I mean, there's a little bit, barely what you can see on my fingers. That's it. That's all. So I think we know enough about this saw. We can talk about it. Okay, so I think we're going to do a walk around of the saw. As you can see, everything is tubed into this collection bag, and this setup with this guard being closed, with this being closed, it pulls a lot of suction. So there's not enough dust here that I could even sweep it up. So it does what it says it'll do in terms of dust collection. Let's look at each side. It's not terribly heavy. Yeah, if I had to guess, I would say 50 pounds, maybe 60 at most. Anyhow, there's a tool holder for every tool that belongs to this saw. It's a very self-contained unit. This is your release for your fence. And like I say, your fence is what adjusts. Your table doesn't have to move. That's a pretty nice feature, and it's very easy to adjust. The tabletop has pads here and on the other side, so if you're completely lifting the saw, your fingers are protected. The adjustments on the front are basically what you'd expect from a table saw. The start key is protected. You have to actually flip this up to get to it. And when you want to stop it, there's a big paddle switch here to stop it. This is your blade height and your bevel set right there. And on this side, you have a spot for your miter gauge and a place for your cord wrap. You have a holder for your tube out of your dust hood to keep it out of your way. Nice feature with this, the fact that this secondary fence can just flip out of your way in a wink and stay out of your way is very nice. That's a nice, well thought out feature there. Okay, so we've put this all through its paces. We've assembled it, put it through its paces. I can't say that we pushed it to its limits. I didn't run any terribly hard woods or exotic woods through it. I basically ran the same cut test that I did on the smaller version of the saw. Again, very, very well thought out tool in terms of having a place for everything that goes with it so it stays self-contained. It does pick up most of the dust. It rips pretty straight and true. I did a rip cut after adjusting the blade, and it cut dead 90. This saw, again, this is I don't know that this would, how well this would do on a job site, but for a casual to intermediate user, this is really this is a good bet. This is it's a useful tool. This is a pretty good tool. And like I say, I don't know that you could run it day in, day out in a professional wood shop. It's certainly a little bit light to be cutting sheet goods all day long if you're in a cabinet shop. But if you have light to moderate work, I think this thing would work well for you. If you have any allergies, this is the saw to have because it does collect the dust. Yeah, so nice tool if you need a medium duty saw to do your woodworking that will collect almost every bit of your dust. This tool will work for you, I think. So thanks for following along. We'll see you next time.